Okay, lads, I want to talk about dev diaries, and I'm going to chat some absolute shite right now, and I'm going to spit some fire because your favorite content creators are making bad dev diaries. First question you're going to say is, why should you, of all people, say what is good or bad? Well, you are speaking to the man who made the very first video dev diary. Did you not know that? That's right. Feedback Gaming was the very first person who turned a dev diary into a video dev diary. And this is my main channel. I do all my dev diaries on the second channel now, Feedback IRL. But as you can see here, 4 years ago, I did my very last dev diary on my main channel. And the very first dev diary I did was the 5th of August, 2016. Do we dare watch this? Look at this dev diary. It's so unbelievably short. All they did with this update is add HOI4 multiplayer lobbies. I can't even remember how it worked before this, to be totally honest with you. It has only 4 comments. Hey, I'm not the one to gloat, okay? But I want to say that I was first, all right? I was the very first person to turn a text dev diary, which I personally thought was a little bit boring, into a video dev diary, which I thought was way more exciting. And prior to that, in this case, August 2016, no one else had done that before. And the reason I made these dev diaries is I thought it was very boring to read a dev diary. I thought it was dull. I didn't think it was very exciting. As an example, this is a dev diary, one of the older ones, like 4 years ago. Text, pictures. Personally, me, as a preference, I didn't like reading them because I thought they were a bit boring. I'd skip through the pictures, try and make sense of the pictures, and then at that point I'd really not be that interested. But me as a content creator understood that I need to be invested into HOI4's future development, so it might be important that I read into them. But I thought to myself, what if I was the person watching the said video for a video dev diary? How would I like it to be? And how would be the best way of representing this information to make it kind of exciting? And therefore I made the dev diary. Please don't use this first dev diary as a good representation. I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I spoke really slow. I didn't really know what direction this content would go with, and it was early days before I found my feet and I started to produce content that I thought was significantly better. So let's talk about the mistakes people do when they make video dev diaries. And at the minute, there's a lot of them, because I think PDX understand that if content creators make videos about the development of their future games and future expansions, people get excited about that, and therefore it helps drive sales in the future. So they love us for what we do. It clearly drives attention and drives sales towards their product. Who wouldn't love that, right? Oh look, there's a join button there. Oh, wouldn't it be great if you became a member? Anyway, mistake number 1 is just simply reading the dev diary. We can all read. Of course. Maybe there are some people who can speak English, but they can't read it, for instance. There's a chance that those people exist. But don't just read the dev diary to me. In Waking the Tiger, we created backend support to give the AI multiple paths to go down. Don't do this. This is the #1 golden rule when you give a PowerPoint presentation. Don't just read out what the slides say. We can all read the slides. So don't just narrate what the slides say. Give us your simple digested version, and then give us a little bit of a spin on what you think that information could mean. So it's not just a matter of fact that you're reading someone a bedtime story. Hey, if that's your kind of dev diary and you're into that and you like a little of just a bit of a dev diary bedtime story, okay, it's on you, fair enough. But personally, I don't think that's the best way we could be digesting our dev diary style content. This is Man the Guns dev diary in 2018 showing the London Naval Treaty. It's funny because this feature, for the most part, isn't really that great, and it acts kind of strange when you end up disbanding your army as Britain, which creates future exploits. I'm not even sure if those exploits still exist. Anyway, we're not even here to talk about HOI4. We're here to talk about dev diaries. There's massive blocks of text here. If you wanted to read the dev diary, you could. So my advice is just do not read out directly on screen what the dev diary says, okay? Give us the shortened version. Now, I'm not going to name any people who make dev diaries, but there have been people who either work for Paradox or work with Paradox and other content creators that have fallen for this mistake before. Don't read out the dev diaries. Put your own spin on them and give your own interpretation of what the information could mean. Now, it's difficult for me to kind of put my spin on this. So let's find a CK3 dev diary for one of the upcoming expansions that's coming out. And maybe I can kind of like try and give my take on what I think the future updates could be. But at the end of the day, they don't want to just see us read the dev diary. They also want us to kind of like give our spin, think how it will affect the meta of the game, think how it will change the actual design of the game. So as an example here, they're overhauling how knights work. They're now knights and accolades. And knights now gain more power through gaining a new stat called glory. That's what it is, glory. And it kind of looks like the more glory you gain, the more tyranny you gain over time. And it also increases your imprison chance as well. So it kind of looks like if you've got someone who has very high glory, they're kind of hard to mess with, but they're very influential as well. So it's kind of like a character that you give power, you feed into them, you fatten the goose as such, but then that goose becomes powerful and strong and you don't want to mess with them. See what I just did there? Just from overviewing this new feature, I give my visualization of how I thought that feature would work in game. Don't get me wrong, I might have got that completely wrong. That might not be how that feature will actually work in game, but it's really important as a dev diaryist to try and give your imagination into the video to try and build an idea of how that said feature would actually work, and also give your reactions too. So rule number 1, don't read stuff out. 2, use your imagination and think how that said feature would work actually in the game. 3, now this one's a big one because I know a lot of content creators who have early access to dev diaries are reluctant to do this because they're scared of saying negative things towards Paradox. And I get that in a way, especially if you're a smaller content creator, you've not got as much clout and you're kind of nervous to speak down to the company that's giving you privileges. But hand on heart, guys, you should be saying, which is rule number 3, the pros and the cons of certain changes. You need to be getting excited visually about a certain change that's like, yes, this has been needed all along, or no, they've done that wrong. That shouldn't be how it should work. This could run into problems 1, 2, and 3. And I do understand there probably are a lot of content creators that are reluctant to speak about the downsides of a said change to their game. But I guess for the most part, if you have been made it this far, PDX kind of already love you anyway, even if you speak down to particularly a new feature or change. Of course, there's a perfect medium here. If you're too positive, it looks like you're kind of in bed with Paradox and you're just going to say good things about their game, well, no matter what. And if you're too negative as well, it just kind of looks like you're bashing them over and over and over again. And you're not really giving constructive criticism. There is a happy middle ground there. It's a bit of a push, there's a bit of a pull, there's a bit of a kiss with a fist. You know what I mean? A little bit on both. So 1, don't just read the dev diary. Give a summarized version. Get to the exciting bits. Of course, the text is nowhere as exciting as the picture. 2, use your imagination on how you think that feature will work. 3, give pros and cons of the features, and don't be afraid to give cons. Number 4 is so easy. I used to love doing this, and I'm so surprised content creators don't do this. Guys, you are missing out on a beautiful opportunity. When you're given these big screenshots, open up and zoom in and look at certain key features. Focus on very small parts. Like for instance, look at this knight here. He's got some kind of like band around his head. That kind of makes me think he's like a jouster. You know what I mean? You can see, for instance, with the glory, you gain ranks as you go through time. So visualize and show the said changes with a specific dev diary. And think of the potential impact that this can make if this guy led an army. He gains an extra 10% extra damage to the army. Now, is that just to the knights or is that for the entirety of the army? It says knight army modifiers, 10% for army. I'm not sure if that means knight or if that means the entire army. It's up to interpretation. See that I used my imagination there to try and build a picture. Is that going to work that said way? Is it difficult to interpret? I mean, to be fair, Paradox could use that information and make a better game too. So therefore, I gave something negative that therefore could potentially build a better game in future by improving the tooltip. These are pretty good to read out pretty quickly. So glory can be gained fighting and winning battles. Easy. Killing or wounding knights in battle. Knights versus knights. Winning single battles. Attending festivals for their liege. Participating in tournaments. Their liege winning wars. So what I was doing here, I was making a summary of what I was saying. I wasn't saying the full thing. Once again, they can read it out if they want to. So don't just read it out to them. Give a summary of what they're basically saying. 5th rule is to try and sound a bit passionate about what you're saying. If you're reading out, heck yeah, XP glory is gained whenever something happens. Listen, it's so boring. It's so monotone. If you're reading word for word, it's so boring. Put your hands above your head. Sound excited about what you're saying. Throw the voice out there. Show passionately about what you're showing. And that will be shown in that said video. If you're speaking at the same tone throughout the entirety of the video, it's not going to be very exciting. It'll be kind of boring. Show some enthusiasm with how you deliver your voice. And that might include talking with your hands like, whoa, it's so big. Oh, wow. A lot of this I got up from working in call centers. The more you move your hands, the more you move your body, the more you project your voice, the more excited you might necessarily sound. Don't get me wrong, guys. My health's a bit of a roller coaster. You probably heard a few dev diaries with me where I barely don't sound as enthusiastic or as passionate. I'm a bit of a roller coaster. I'm up and down. A lot of time you've got to record these dev diaries in a short period of time if you want to compete with your other YouTuber competitors. Hence the reason why maybe some of them I don't necessarily stick to. Hey, if you've got better health than me, which you probably do, in that circumstance, there's no reason why you can't project your voice and put your best self forward. I guess another mistake I see quite frequently, maybe this is somehow number 6, is because the dev diary is quite long, that doesn't necessarily mean I get the permission to speak for full 50 minutes. I think for the most part, a dev diary should never be really longer than 10 minutes. Pushing it 15, if it's one of those mega long dev diaries, okay, I'll maybe accept 20 minutes. For instance, with this dev diary, this is a 10-minute. There's no excuse for you making 40, 50-minute videos, just reading blocks of text out. At the end of the day, you want to summarize what you're saying, get to the point, speak about what excites you, speak about things that might necessarily scare you, show enthusiasm, show passion, and display what I think makes a perfect dev diary. This is not coming from a perfect person, but I was the very first person to make a video dev diary. If you guys can find someone else who made a video dev diary before me, let me know in the comments below. But as far as I'm aware, I was the first. I think for the most part, I have a track record of making so many of them. I think I know what makes a good dev diary. I think for the most part, if there's anything that bores me to snot with dev diaries, is if a person is speaking for way too long and therefore making the video go on for like an hour. Get to the point, show us the nitty gritty, show us what excites us, show us what disappoints you. Get to the bloody point. Guys, if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Apart from that, have a good day.